Hi students, today I'm going to talk to you about tackling new readings, especially difficult readings, since you have two readings for this week in English 101. I'm going to give you these general tips here and I'll show you a little bit about how you might apply them, especially to your first reading for Tuesday, which is Jesus Shaves by David Sedaris. So let's go ahead and start by looking at the new readings document. So it says, in the beginning of the semester, every reading might seem difficult. This is normal. You're used to reading in a certain way, and you might be used to reading in a different language. To be successful in reading things for English 101 for other college classes, academic texts, you will need to adjust how you read a little and how you approach reading in this class. Like exercise, reading is the best way to improve your reading skills. Okay, sorry, my phone rang. Like I was saying, exercising, when you exercise, you get stronger. When you read more, you get better at reading. So reading more is the best way to get better at reading. Just like if you want to run faster, you just have to run, right? You can't run faster by only like lifting weights or only watching people run. You have to actually do it. So the way to get better at reading is to read. But there are also some strategies that you can use to make your readings easier to understand. So I'm going to talk about each of these. So here are some of the tips. So the first one, if you're feeling snowed under, that's an idiom and it means overwhelmed, like everything is too much. By the amount of reading you need to complete, break it into chunks. So break it into smaller pieces. Choose a moderate amount of material with the goal of completing it and then move to the next section. So when you look at the Jesus Shaves reading, and I've already opened it past the assignment, you can see, how many pages you have. You could say, I'm going to do, so this one is not too long, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5, right? So you could say, like, I'm going to do 3 and 3. Okay, might work well. Or 4, and then the next time do 2.5. That's a great way to break it up a little bit. Skim the reading and get an overview. Read titles, headings, subheadings, any summaries or aspects. Note any graphs, charts, and diagrams. Now, you would see a lot of those titles, headings, subheadings in like a textbook, like maybe for one of your other classes. You might see kind of different like types of writing where they have like where they tell you like the different topics inside of there. But for this one, we don't really have something like that. But we could read topic sentences, the first sentence of each paragraph, to get an idea of what it's about. So that is actually a pretty useful strategy that you could follow. Okay, so I'm just now. Well, and what does one do on the 14th of July? Does one celebrate Bastille Day? Okay, something about Bastille Day. The second month of French class, the teacher was leading us in an exercise. So someone is in French class. Okay, printed in our textbooks was a list of major holidays, accompanied by a scattered arrangement of photographs depicting French people in the act of celebration. Okay, so something about holidays, learning French. Normally, when working from the book, it was my habit to turn out my fellow students, there you go, fellow, my other students, and scout ahead, concentrating on the question I'd calculated might fall to me. But this afternoon, we were veering from the usual format. Okay, so this person is also a student, and they're trying to like figure out how to be in this French class. We finished discussing Bastille Day and moved on to Easter. Okay, and now in this part, it was for me another of those holidays I just as soon avoid. As a rule, my family had always ignored the Easter celebration. Our mother was raised a Protestant. Our Easters were a hybrid of the Greek and American traditions. Okay, and then we start having a lot of dialogue, which is like conversation, right, with the quotes. So it's kind of hard to read each body paragraph, each something from each sentence without reading anything. The teacher sighed and shook her head. It was a decent point, but at least a rabbit has eyes. Huh. Okay. Nothing we said was of any help to the Moroccan student. I wondered if, without the language barrier, my classmates and I could have done a better job making sense of Christianity. Okay. Well, all right. So I get an idea that this is sort of about like holidays, French class, something about Easter, something about being Christian and explaining things. Um, so um, that hopefully gives me some sort of idea from what to do. Then it says read first for what you do understand and don't get caught up in the difficult parts. Skim over passages that are really difficult and mark or note what you don't understand to reread later. Even a partial understanding will make rereading easier on your second attempt. So, according to this, you could go ahead and start reading it and try to read the whole thing, at least the parts of it you said. You can also think about this next question. Are there extra resources that would help improve your understanding? Okay, if you need more background material, find an additional source. So, for example, if you saw that this was about Easter and you sort of like know that Easter is a Christian holiday, but you don't know that much about it, maybe you just want to Google it. And you can actually see here some pictures of rabbits, which like why were there these rabbits in the reading about Easter? If you're not sure, maybe read a little bit of even just the Wikipedia, okay, about Easter. It's a Christian festival commemorating the resurrection of Jesus from the dead, okay? And here's a question. Why is the bunny, this animal, associated with Easter? The bunny arrived in America in the 1700s with German immigrants. So I'm showing you this kind of cultural background, but I'm also not always going to be able to show you that kind of information. I'm saying you can do this if you're not sure. Now, maybe you already know all about this and you don't need to do that, but maybe I don't really know that much about Bastille Day, the first holiday that they mentioned. Okay, so Bastille Day. Let's see if we can learn something about it. French-speaking countries, the National Day of France. So maybe it's like Independence Day or Celebration of France. And this is in French class. Okay. So another idea that you can always use a dictionary as well. And this one is saying a subject specific dictionary. We don't really use book dictionaries that much anymore. We can use translate features. But you can also, just Google things. Another idea for extra resources is sometimes it helps when there is an audio. If do you understand more in general from listening or from reading? If you are helped by listening, I just searched on YouTube and I found this recording, which I am posting, of David Sedaris, the author here, reading this essay. It's going to go ahead and start me with the ad again, even though I already skipped the ads. Anyway, it's going to show. Let me pause my recording. Okay, so you might not always find something that has the audio version, but it doesn't hurt to look. When you're using an audio version, sometimes it helps to listen first and while you're reading, because that way you don't get stuck on individual words. You're able to listen and just kind of catch the whole idea instead of like worrying about everything that you don't understand. Also, for a lot of students, listening is a strength because you've learned how to communicate and speak and listen very well in English. So it really might help you to do that kind of search. Okay. So hopefully some of those are helpful strategies for you guys. Let's go ahead and go back to this. So that was in the extra resources. Okay. Ask yourself questions about the reading. Work out what you understand and what you do not. Try to make connections between what you are reading and what you already know. Revisit the parts you found difficult. How do they fit, or how could they fit with what you do understand? Okay. It can also help to write while you read. Underline, make notes, or write short summaries that help you concentrate and grasp difficult ideas. So that's something that you need to do anyway with the perusal and with the assignment. So I think that Dr. King showed you a little bit about that. Okay. Um, so one thing that you could do is, when you are doing the perusal, you can mark on the text and share some of that information. Okay, so as a reminder on perusal, you can click here once you're in to see the assignment information. These are the questions that Dr. King is asking you to answer. And to answer one of these questions, highlight a passage from the text and then comment on that passage. So highlight at least one sentence and make a comment. So these are the questions you need to answer. Just for this quick example, I'm going to show about a character developed in this story. Means a person, a passage where Sedaris develops the character. Is it effective? Can you understand the character? Do they need to be developed? So I can talk about this little part that says a pouty plump Moroccan woman who had grown up speaking French and had enrolled in the class to improve her spelling. She'd covered these lessons back in the 3rd grade and took every opportunity to demonstrate her superiority. Okay, so in this part, this is telling me about this character, which is this woman from Morocco. She's in French class, but she already speaks French. So she already knows everything, and she just tries to show her knowledge. Okay, so I can put my comment in here. Okay, and then I can also push enter when I have finished making my comment. Okay, so that is a way to do it on perusal when you're writing while you read. You can also, of course, print readings and make personal notes for yourself or make them on perusal. Okay, always when you finish reading, and especially in this case, right before class, go back and look through and see because on this system, perusal, you're going to be able to see what other classmates are writing. You don't want to write the same thing as them. That's an important part of the assignment that Dr. King gave. Even if you want to use the same line or the same quote, you need to add more information. But so that's a great way to learn more. And maybe one of your classmates is explaining a part of the reading that you didn't necessarily understand, and maybe you are explaining something that they didn't understand. Okay, so review. Don't give up. Always keep going. It will become clearer and clearer, so please don't give up. And if you don't understand something, do not panic. Sometimes you can just set it aside and try again the next day. That gives your brain more time to think about it. If it is still difficult, talking about it in class might help, talking to me about it. Remember, I'm also available during office hours, and I have office hours in the cultural center, where you can come and talk to me about some things that are not clear. And I know Dr. King is also happy to do that with you. So the overall point here is that reading skills can be developed just like muscles, okay? Just like muscles in a gym, okay? Always use the existing knowledge, things that you already know, to make sense of new information. Ask questions about the text. Interact with the text. Mark the comments on perusal. Draw inferences. That means make a good guess. Sometimes, especially in an essay like this, they're not kind of making everything super clear. You're guessing what they're saying. So it's possible that your guess could be different from someone else's, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. Create sensory images as you read, especially pictures or sounds. And that's something that's easy to do. Not easy, but a very good strategy for something like this. Imagine this French class. Imagine the students sitting around. Imagine David Sedaris, the author. Imagine the lady from Morocco who already speaks French. Okay? Monitor your comprehension and use fix-up strategies when meaning breaks down. So what does those last two mean? If you're reading, and you sort of stop understanding, pay attention. Don't just kind of push yourself to keep going. Do you need a break? Do you need to stop and think? Do you need to read it out loud or listen to it again? You know, what do you need to look up a word? What do you need to do? So you're not just reading it like, okay, looking at it with your eyes. You're actually reading it and understanding it. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful. Later in the homework for this week, I'm going to ask you what's the most helpful kind of information or preparation that you're needing to be successful in English 101. So you can let me know. Thanks, guys.